And, I think there's a couple of things that I think are interesting, right? This, really going back to the mid 90s, late 90s, there was this sense, I think, this broad consensus that globalization was here to stay, that there was a linkage between sort of financial liberalization and political liberalization, right? That it's this old McDonald's theory that no two countries that have a McDonald's have ever fought a war. That was never really true, and it's certainly obviously not true now. But this idea that there was this sort of steady march towards big multinational kind of borderless economies, that is totally dead. The pandemic, I think, has really made people rethink the actual wisdom of doing that. If you're a CEO, if you're running a business, you've got a supply chain that goes through 7 different countries, and all of a sudden your stuff is stuck off the port in Los Angeles and you can't get it. So I think there's, supply chains are being rethought. A lot of onshoring is happening there. And then sort of at a political level, you're seeing this really hawkish nationalism. One of the only bipartisan things, in Washington is this sort of America First agenda, and we're seeing it all over the world. And I think that's going to dramatically reshape kind of how economies are structured and how people run their business day to day, whether it's a mid-sized business that's importing parts from China and assembling them and selling them here. I mean, that to me is a totally dead idea. So that's a topic that I think I'm writing about every day. And then look, I think there's a lot of hand-wringing right now about inflation. This is very basic supply and demand, and I'm not going to say that I called inflation coming, but any basic economist student could tell you that when you have the supply of something constricted, right? So you had factories were shut down for months, nothing could get where it was supposed to go. And then you have this explosion of demand, which is that people were in their houses for 2 years. Now they want to do everything. You're going to end up with higher prices. I think the central banks are figuring it out. I think that, economic adjustments are not perfect, but they usually settle out. And I think we're starting to get there. So I think that story is actually starting to be over a little bit. And I'm curious what comes next.